Okay, hello, greetings and welcome. Alright, so in the Hermetic path, there's a saying, be still and know that I am God. And this sums up the entire spiritual path. Stillness is the path to recognizing that you're a vibrational match to God. That you're a vibrational match to the universal mind. And the only way that this can be achieved is by equanimity. Franz Bardon calls it magical equilibrium. In Buddhism it's called equanimity. And it's a method of cultivating stillness up a vibrational scale. So when we categorize our meditation objects, we have meditation on the body, physical, meditation on external physical objects around us. So let's say if I take that cup over there and I make that my meditation object, and I feel it or look at that object to the point of stillness. My unconscious relationship with that object will permeate a quietude through my mind every time I see that object. So there's a stillness relationship. As I look at the object, the mind becomes quieter, I quietly observe it, and then I generate a resonance of quietude between me and the object. So that every time I pick up my cup and go to have a drink, there's a reactivity of quietude between me and the object. So the Hermeticist will look at their plate as, I use this plate every day. A monk has a food bowl. They'll meditate on the food bowl daily so the mind goes into quietude. The Hermeticist will have a magic goblet where they do all the drinking, they charge it, they create a sense of stillness inside of it. All your magical implements, you need to meditate on them to the point of quietude. The objects which you have around your home, you use them as meditation objects to generate unconscious quietude. Whenever you touch an object with your mind and you concentrate on it to the point of stillness, you re-educate your unconscious relationship to that object to be still, to dwell with an equanimity. And this is often done with all the gates, the visual gate, the feeling gate, the sound gate, the smell, the taste. So with food, you smell the food, you concentrate on the smell, you bring that sense of smell into equanimity and stillness. And there'll be less craving for that food. You won't be yearning for it, but you'll appreciate the smells and the tastes and so forth. So it detaches emotional baggage and increases sensitivity through the stillness. So you see more of the truth and reality of the object you're working with and less emotional investment. So your physical environment, you do this with each object until you've covered all the objects in your home, your temple space, where you live. Then we raise up the vibrational scale. From there we go into Astral. Astral is released of time. So it's our relationship to the past and the future. Now, all your emotional decisions that you're making are from the past. You've had an experience, you're emotionally invested in a positive and negative way in that experience, and it affects how you decide your future. So when you categorize your black and white mirror, fire personality traits, air personality traits, water personality traits, earth personality traits, there's a very basic common sense to, this is the mirror of my soul, this is my astral body, this is my personality, this is my roadmap of my spiritual growth. So you go, okay, fire pillar. Oh, I get irritable in traffic. Let's contemplate and observe that irritability that arises in traffic. So you timeline back down to the last time you experienced that driving your car, and you observe it quietly. And what happens is that memory of the irritability goes from static to still. And you go through each personality trait and you change how your unconscious mind relates to it. You discharge the emotion out of your astral body so that it ceases to affect your future decision-making processes. So you make each emotion a meditation object. And you go through your whole black and white astral mirror. This is your starting point. This allows your astral body to come into equanimity, so there's no static there to disrupt not only your relationship to your future, but also to sit in stillness in your meditation practice. It allows you to go from an emotional decision-making to an intellectual decision-making, and even better, an intuitive decision-making process that's clear and is in resonance with truth, not in resonance with emotional biases. From there we move into the root energies, fire element. What is the original energy which arose those emotions? We make that the meditation object. If you're traveling more the shamanistic path, you'll go to a volcano, you'll stand on the volcano, you'll feel the molten lava under the ground, you might be able to visually see it, and then you breathe that frequency of the fire element into your body and you pay attention to it to the point of stillness. When your relationship with the root of fire is equanimity, it ceases to affect you. You climb to the top of a mountain. You feel the air currents moving. You sit on that cliff, you sit on that peak, and you tune into the air element. You breathe the color of the sky, you breathe that floating, buoyant color in, fill your body with it, and then pay attention to it to the point of stillness. Your relationship to the air element is forever changed. You do that in the water element. You go into a lake, you go into the ocean, you breathe the water element throughout your body, and then you pay attention to it until it comes into a point of stillness and equanimity, and your astral emotional relationship to the earth element will be forever changed. Then you go into a cave. You sit in the stillness of the cave, you meditate, and you bring your relationship to the earth into equanimity. You breathe the gravity of the planet in, you breathe the heaviness in, you cultivate the earth element through the earth practices, and you equalize your relationship to it, and it ceases to affect your astral personality after that point, because it's in equanimity. Anytime any of these emotions start rising again, you repeat the process and you bring yourself back into equanimity. You'll find that when you repeat these types of exercises on a regular basis, you can go through a self-check. You evaluate how your personality is developing, you go through the elemental exercises, you contemplate the areas of your personality that need balancing out, and you develop yourself. Now, as you go through this process of equalizing the astral elements, you get a sense of higher and lower. You go, okay, well, there's these qualities that are down the bottom that I don't want. They're not serving me. There's these qualities up the top that I do want. I don't want them to be equanimous. I want them to become powerful. You may be a public speaker and you want to be a better public speaker. This is an air element quality. You may want to be able to relate more effectively to people. This is a water element quality. You may be a leader and you want to lead more effectively. This is a fire quality, and so forth. We have these higher frequency qualities that we need in the way that we live our life. So instead of trying to equalize them in a sense of switching them off, we equalize them in a sense of switching them on. So if you want to be a greater leader, you pay attention to the fire element, you pay attention to how the fire element fuels your mind's ability to be strong and willful and be a great leader. You define those qualities, you breathe the fire element into those qualities, and you make them stable through concentrated awareness. So they become still, but the underlying intent is to enhance those particular qualities. And you raise those qualities up to the ideals that you perceive as being the best for your needs. From the astral training, we move to meditation objects that are in mental. So we go to thought forms, we go to ideas, we go to concepts of ethics, we go to all these higher frequency mental space meditation objects, and you pay attention to them. They might be symbols of magic, they might be archetypes, And you go through each one of these mental qualities and you make the meditation objects. You pay attention to them. In Hermetics, we start with just watching our own mind. Watch thoughts arise, watch them fall away, and the alpha tuning fork thoughts that seem to break our mind stream, we make the meditation objects and dissolve the static out of them. So if it's something as simple as you thinking, oh, I've got to pay that bill, you meditate on the bill and you generate equanimity on the thought and the feeling and the action of paying the bill. And it's not that you forget about it, it gets dealt with at the appropriate time, and it's not on your mind when you don't want it to be. Your relationship to that idea, that mental, astral, physical thought, feeling and behavior becomes equanimous. You put it onto your calendar and go, oh, on this day I pay it and it's done. Or you automate it. Okay, so this mental meditation objects, we're starting to see a vibrational scale. The physical, mindfulness of body. Astral, mindfulness of feelings. Mental, mindfulness of thought. And above that, we have phenomena, Akasha, Dharma. We have universal lawfulness. So we move from our awareness from generating a stillness underneath the thoughts and the feelings in the body to creating stillness underneath universal principles. If you have a very highly sacred place or a temple where people pray, and you go pay attention to the frequency of accumulated prayer in that temple, it'll take you up into that higher place. It's above thought. It's in a higher frequency. In Hermetics, we refer to this as Akasha. We start putting our mind outside of time, outside of space, inside the infinity quality, and we pay attention to that. If you're connecting to the sun and looking at, okay, everything on this planet came from the sun, there's the universal consciousness that arose through the power of the sun, and you make the sun just before sunrise your meditation object, mentally transfer, the morning sun comes up, your mind's inside the sun, hits the pineal gland, and you have a welcoming the sun morning meditation, and it wakes up the spirit. Your connection to the consciousness of the sun, the mind substance of the sun, creates this loop that happens within creation. That's where this body and evolution came from. This is where life on this planet came from, and there's a cycle. And we go through the cycle from the emptiness through the mental, astral, physical worlds to the form, and then back into the emptiness. And we return to the sun. So there's all these types of spiritual practices that move through physical meditation objects, astral meditation objects, mental meditation objects, to very high frequencies of Dharma, different teachings as meditation objects, where you contemplate a particular Dharma, a spiritual value that's something that's outside of time and space, but expresses itself inside of time and space. And these Akashic meditation objects are the ones that give very, very, very high degrees of growth and spiritual development. So we've formed a vibrational scale. Now, as you develop stillness in your physical body, there's a rising of consciousness through physical awareness. As you generate stillness in your astral body, the consciousness rises through your astral emotional being. As you generate these types of stillness in your mental body, the stillness arises of consciousness through the spirit. And as you generate stillness in relation to dharmas, prayer, akasha, high sacred states, the stillness rises up further. So we started this with be still and recognize that you're a vibrational match to God. You're a vibrational match to the universal mind. In order to recognize that aspect of you that vibrationally matches the mind of the universe, there's a very high degree of stillness that needs to be underlying your mind substance. Now, you can't look at your mind from mind. You need to equalize with the stillness that allows your mind to exist and look at your spirit from there. So when we go to these high spaces of stillness, we flip the mirror. Instead of looking out, we look in. what is our mind. And you need to be equalized with the stillness to recognize the light of the mind. To be a light unto yourself, you need to recognize your own divinity. And this is the fundamentals of Hermetics. From step 1 through to step 10 of the initiation text, we're working with types of stillness cultivation on a vibrational scale. We're working higher up the vibrational scale so the mind becomes stiller, more refined, and it recognizes its own divinity. Through recognizing its own divinity, it goes from a microcosm experience to a macrocosm experience through the law of resonance. It recognizes divinity in all things, and that law of resonance allows consciousness to expand from here to a universal. And this is the Hermetic path. This is how you intellectually think about it. There's a vibrational scale of objects. There's a vibrational scale of stillness which accumulates in my mind underneath those objects. Stillness is the equanimous pathway to move upwards, to recognize divinity within. That is the fabric, essence of the spiritual path. Thank you for your time, and see you on the next video.